Welcome back to the Getting Results Inc. podcast. My name is Coach Gino, and alongside is Super Coach, Coach Ken. Super Coach, how's it going, man?
Going wonderful. I just got back from Paris, and we kept America safe for capitalism over there.
Awesome.
We made the French
Thank
proud.
you. Thank you for your commitment, even traveling on your own expense to do that for this country. Very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the French appreciated me.
And Super Coach, we got a special guest today. So we have a longtime client of Getting Results Coaching. We have Wayne Pierson, who is the owner of Longstreet Wealth Management over there in Texas. Hereford, right?
Yes.
Hereford, Texas. Wayne's been at Longstreet Management, or had put Longstreet in place 4 years ago, and is going strong. And so we're excited to have you today. Wayne, how are you?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Super Coach, I'll let you, since you're Wayne's longtime coach, let's get us started here.
So I think Wayne has a fascinating empire. So we have a capitalist in the studio today, and what I'd like Wayne to share a little bit is about literally the whole expanse of his empire. So what are the things that you're involved in, Wayne, other than financial services?
Well, I bought a car wash 4.5 years ago, and we have a family farm. That's those are the big things. We spend a lot of time at the car wash from the standpoint of continuing to make it better. It's got a big presence in the town it's in. I learned a lot from that. You jump out and you buy a going concern, and you don't know what you're doing, and you don't necessarily know what you're buying. So we learned a tremendous amount over the first year and a half of that business, and it's transferred a lot over into this business also. Customer relations, the marketing, the pricing, the maintenance, and all of the scheduled things you need to be doing. Very similar to what we do here.
Well, and what do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned from the car wash that applies to your Longstreet?
I tend to learn this over and over. Just because something looks easy, and just because somebody else is doing awesome at it and they make it look easy, that doesn't mean that it is. There's a huge amount of knowledge that has to be digested before you can be effective. And like anything else, the biggest limiting factor is people, and getting the right people in place to say hi when somebody pulled in to wash their muddy pickup or their soccer pants. You got to have that relationship. And then, somebody that's willing to do the little bitty things to keep the maintenance up so that things are running when somebody pulls in there with a handful of quarters. That's, you're just selling time, but the time you're there, it better work like it's supposed to. And it needs to be a pleasant experience.
So, and a 5-gallon bucket of quarters is how much?
A 25-pound bucket of quarters is $500.
So wow. Okay, so it's so it's $500.
$500 for every 25 pounds of quarters.
So do you have like a scale at the office there?
We use a bathroom scale and pour them in there and get pretty close. And if you walk into the bank with 2 buckets and their counter goes down, you know how much money you took in there.
Yes. So do you actually so you have to heave though? You have to carry those to the bank?
You get to carry.
Oh, yes.
So Wayne, what's a good week in buckets for the car wash?
Oh, in that business, about 65% of the income is credit card, and the balance is quarters. So, about a third of our income is quarters and cash. So that's beneficial.
Cool.
For sure.
What led you to buy the car wash in the first place?
I've been working in the financial business for 21 years, and most of my assets are non-qualified. And that really means that those dollars are traced back to a business owner, whether that's a farmer or a rancher or the guy in town that owns a hardware store. I've dealt with entrepreneurs and business owners my whole career, and it just became more and more interesting. And to be honest, the car wash was 2 blocks from my kid's house, and I drove by there going to have dinner with them or mow the yard or whatever. And one day it was for sale, and I wanted to get out there and look at a deal and see what it involved. And gonna have to look at a lot of deals to do something. And a month later, we had a car wash. So uh, yeah.
That's awesome. So now,
The interesting thing is and it's a little bitty thing compared to my Longstreet practice. But in conversation of dealing with clients, the fact that I am a business owner, the fact that I have a car wash, they look at me differently. You talk to a farmer comes in and he may been doing business with 3 or 4 years, and in conversation it comes up that you have a family farm that's third generation. I'm not there farming it, but I can relate to him. It's something that he looks at me differently now. We have something in common. So, and the more and more I am an entrepreneur, the more and more I want to be. And, you attract people like you. So jumping out there and doing something like that, one, you learn a whole lot. And two, people go, hey, there's another depth to you that they find interesting and like and want to understand. And a lot of times they find something similar to them. That's really what you're wanting is, to build that like and trust.
Good. No, good.
Yeah. Well, people like people who are up to stuff. And I like how you said once you bought the car wash, you increased your level of relatedness to fellow business owners. Right? And since the majority of your book is non-qualified, it sounds like that ideal client for you is the business owner, is the rancher, is the farmer, right? Not the corporate executive, not the attorney, not the neurosurgeon. And nothing wrong with those people. They're just not your particular niche.
Yes, through good nights and company changes, I don't have a doctor anymore. I don't have a lawyer anymore.
Engineer?
I used to, yeah. But now we have clients we enjoy working with that listen to us, that answer the phone. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So Wayne, let's go back a little bit. So you've been you founded Longstreet Wealth Management 4 years ago. Tell us a little bit about before that. Give us a little bit of history, what got you here, and tell us a little bit more about your past.
I started in a little town, Muleshoe, Texas, about 6,000 people. 21 years ago with Edward Jones, they were nice enough to hire me with no background. I've got 2 ag degrees, and they taught me everything I needed to know to be a successful advisor. And 10 years into that, I moved to Hereford and took over an office where a guy was moving closer to his kids. And this was a big opportunity. Spent another 7 years at Edward Jones, and over time, kind of reverts back to that entrepreneurship. The more business owners I was around, the more I wanted to be a business owner. And right or wrong, Edward Jones structure is employee driven, employee based. Doesn't matter what your production is, how many clients you have, what your assets are. At the end of the day, you're a highly compensated employee. And back to that entrepreneur, that business owner, they appreciate how successful you are, but they still look at you as an employee versus a business owner. Yeah. And so That was probably one of the bigger reasons I left Edward Jones when I did. It was being able to jump out and own the business, own the client relationship, determine the direction of the business. And so, a little over 4 years ago, took a big leap and left Edward Jones and founded Longstreet Wealth Management. We've got a second location in Amarillo. Taylor Graves has been with us 2 years. We've got a third advisor coming probably before Christmas, and we're excited about that. So really cool.
Growing and expanding. Growing and expanding. So I got to ask, so you started that car wash literally just a little bit before you jumped, right? How did you manage all that?
That wasn't the wisest thing to do in hindsight. The kids lived, like I say, 2 blocks from there, and Tobin ran most of the day-to-day work while he was in college. And
Cool.
the car wash was really good for him. He wasn't that great for the car wash. He was a little immature yet. I think today, if it dumped it on him, he would thrive with it. But that in itself was a lesson for everybody. So,
Got it.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
Yep. I was doing a little reflecting this morning, and part of the reflection was is love the Lord with all of your heart. And as I was reflecting on it, I was thinking about Wayne, and I believe that part of Wayne's philosophy, or how he's been so successful with his business, is not only his faith, but that he loves his clients with all of his heart. Right? That he's a very empathetic person. He goes out on a limb for his clients, and that I believe, right, Wayne, I think that's part of your philosophy, is that you literally do love your clients and you try to do whatever you can for them. Would you agree?
Well, everybody needs a superpower, and mine is not stock picking or asset allocation or any of that. Really, uh, empathy, being able to sit down with somebody that's having an issue in their life and make them feel like you understand. Not everybody's good at that. And had a client in a couple of weeks ago, and she always comes in with her husband. Since never has she come in by herself. Brandy says, "Hey, so and so's coming in after lunch today," and I'm like, "That's weird. What's going on?" Sits down, and her husband has got Parkinson's and not doing well, just falling off a cliff. And we talk about everything, what that means life wise, what that means, where are they going to live? Are they moving to a bigger town? Are they getting closer to kids? All of this stuff, she's going to be the decision maker now, not him. Finances and farmland and all of the stuff they have going. We never pulled her account up, but at the end of 45 minutes, she said, "I just knew if I came and visited with you, I would walk away feeling like I could handle this." That's empathy. That's being able to give somebody the strength that they need to go and tackle whatever it is they have to tackle. And she's got a lot to tackle over the next few years.
Nice.
Beautiful. And what about the alligator head story?
So I have a large smoker, I don't know, 25, 6 foot long, double stacks, and I've cooked about everything in it. I really like cooking pig in it, cut it in half and put it on there and smoke it. Have the ribs for breakfast and invite everybody over in the evening and let them finish it, kind of a deal. But I had some friends at the lake that I've known forever. Diane called and said, "Hey, we're having a couple's baby shower. Would you cook for it?" Sure, I'd love to. Would you cook an alligator? It's like kind of different for a couple's baby shower, but yeah, let's do it. So you can buy anything on the internet. and I'm on there and I'm looking around, and several of their clients, the girl that's having the baby, her parents are clients, the other neighbors are clients. Well, I'm on this website, and for $14, you can buy an alligator head for $14. So
Real
I throw a couple in, and the order shows up, and it's like, what is this alligator head in here for? And it's like, I thought Shane would like to have that on his back fence. And so, it. I'm sure one of them ended up in the dumpster, and one of them's on the back fence, and who knows where the third one is. But the guy that it meant something to, that was his daughter's baby shower. And he had a tremendous time. All his family was there, all his friends, all of his daughter's friends, and husband, his friends. And now he's got this alligator head, off his back porch. He's just so proud of that $14 as anybody would be of anything. So,
And these friends are also clients, correct?
yes.
awesome.
And the funny thing about cooking an alligator head is normally when you cook, you got a couple of guys that'll help and drink your beer, and then nobody else cares you're there. They just want to eat the food when it's done. But if you're cooking a whole alligator with a chicken in its mouth, everybody comes out there. Well, let me see. Let me look. Oh, let me get a picture. Hold the little kid up. It's a thing. It's fun. It was interesting.
How big was the gator?
It was about 25 pounds dressed.
Wow.
It still has its feet and its head, and the rest of it's dressed, ready to cook.
Interesting.
So it's
Now, if any of you have listened to our podcast in the past, which I'm sure that you have, I'm going to throw out some principles here of real life in action of a concept called awareness, education, and action. So one of the hardest parts in the business world, as y'all know, is getting access to the right kind of people. Okay? So it's getting access, right? Castles in Europe do not fall by frontal assault. Somebody let somebody in through the secret grotto. So if you notice what Wayne was doing is Wayne was cooking alligator for top tier clients. Not only was he cooking an alligator, but he was cooking an alligator with a chicken in its mouth, which attracted attention, which created connections with him, which created conversations like, who's the guy with the alligator in the mouth? And wow, that's Wayne. That's my guy. That's my trusted advisor. So Wayne is now a known entity to all of those people at those events. So sometimes people get a little weird about marketing and prospecting. They don't want to do it. If you like to cook, here's a great way to prospect with the right kind of people. So those are some of the principles in action, and Wayne doing real life, what are we going to call this? Real life implementation of the GRC principles.
Yeah.
So, good work.
Well, and the key thing, I was at the lake.
And
I
so does
can't.
that mean you were swimming afterwards?
I can't sell that I'm a golfer. I can't sell that I enjoy sitting in a deer blind when it's 28 degrees.
Yeah.
But I enjoy being at the lake, and so
And cooking.
yeah.
And
Now,
that's important, right? Because it's got to be something you enjoy. It's got to be something that's part of your life. That way, you're going to have fun doing it, right? You're going to
Right.
you'll do it all the time. Whenever someone asks, you're there.
Yeah, my family was there. Tobin was helping me. It was awesome.
and you have a 28-foot smoker.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's a commitment, people. Maybe
Yeah.
if you want to cook more, get a bigger smoker.
Yeah. What made you stop at 28? Why didn't you just round it to 30?
We rebuilt it when Tobin was in high school, and we cut 4 foot off of it, so it's actually a little smaller.
Smaller.
It's got a picnic table on it and a cutting board with cabinets under it and a full smoker and griddle behind that.
Well, we're gonna have to tap your catering services when we come out to Texas.
No kidding.
Let's do it.
Getting Results
right.
Roadshow. Can you smoke dove, or is that?
Why not?
It'd take a lot of them to get full.
That is true.
That is true. That is true.
A whole lot. So Wayne, you talked about your past in terms of how you got here. You mentioned, in December you're adding an advisor. So what's next for Longstreet Wealth Management, right? Like, what are you looking to do? What's the vision for Longstreet?
Well, so we're right in the middle of changing broker dealers again. And
So you went independent.
basically, at the beginning of the year, I decided, and it was kind of weird how it came about, but I decided in 2025 I was going to question my assumptions at the car wash, with my marriage, do a check-in, just because I assume that she's happy, just because I know I am. Hey, let's question that assumption. So I go through all the places and do that. And one of the questions I asked myself was, I'm really happy and content at Raymond James. Then the question become, is that the best place for me and my business and the future of my business? And I've got a headhunter that I become close friends with, and she helped me with the project. And I told her up front, I'm probably not going anywhere. You're probably not going to make a dime on all this effort. And what I found through the questioning of my assumption was that maybe there is a better place for what I'm trying to accomplish. And, and part of it is in the first move. The first move was about escaping. It was about getting away from something. And that's what we solved for. And we ended up at Raymond James, and it's been wonderful. It's been independent. It's been liberating. But then 4 years down the road, now you're on the other side of the fence, and you look at all the things that you can be doing and all the ways that you can be doing it. And this move was moving towards an ideal place to solve my specific type of clients' issues and be able to grow Longstreet and grow the advisors. And this environment is a little more conducive to that. So this move has really been about chasing technology, checking our expenses. Is this a firm that is broadly fits advisors that we're recruiting, as opposed to where we have been? So the first move was an escape, and this move has been moving towards the ideal, what I want Longstreet to be in 3 to 5 years.
Nice. And is Megan still in the plans?
She's here. She made sure this was all working right, and then she snuck off to lunch. So yeah, she's an integral part of the whole deal, and so is Brandy, and Taylor's got good staff, and so yes, we're in a good position. If anything, we're overstaffed a little bit, and if you're doing any kind of growth, whether that's organic growth, trying to grow $1 million or $2 million a month, or if that's trying to acquire an advisor or purchase a retiring practice, you have to have bandwidth. And the fact that we're overstaffed right now, that's a plus. We're excited about being in that spot.
And how is it working with your daughter?
One thing that makes working with Megan really easy is I'm in Hereford once, 3 or 4 days at a time, a given week, let's say. And then the next week I'm in Lubbock. So I get to come in here and mentor her, help her, correct her, teach her, work with her, get on her nerves. And then at the end of the week, I go back to Lubbock, and the next week I work from home. I'm not here. She gets to work independently, learn her own mistakes and grow while I'm not here. And then the next week I'm back here to help out with that. I think that's really helping a whole lot. as far as her development.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing with working with a child is that there's value in having actually space and distance, that you are not seeing her every day consistently, right? You're there for a couple days and then you're out, then you're there for a couple days. So she gets time to sort of to percolate, to absorb what you said.
It's not only that I'm not here for her, it's that I'm not here for the secretary. I'm not here for the client. So the client, every other week, I'm not available. They have to see if Megan can solve that problem. You know, she has to work with the staff when I'm gone. You know, that's so she's developing those skills. I went to college with a guy that had a very intense ag business, and his parents ran it. Everybody wanted Bob to take it over. Bob wanted to take it over. He was jacked up, 30-year-old, excited. His parents wanted him to take it over, but nobody else did. And they spent one whole year and got nowhere. The next year, the parents bought a motorhome and left in March and came home in October. That was, the transfer was done. The wholesalers, you know, the chemical reps, the farmers, the guys that flew the planes and ran the spray rigs, and the secretary, nobody had a choice but to deal with Bob.
They had to figure it out.
And when the parents came home, his dad was in the back office and nobody asked if he was there, you know. And that's what I'm trying to create, is the space for Megan to develop with our team and with our staff and with our clients. You know, and really the goal there is, one issue I had at Edward Jones is, you know, I could help my child get started, but we couldn't share clients. And really what I want to happen is, today I'm 99% and she's 1%, and then 98 and 2. And at some point down the road, when I step away 10, 15 years from now, I want that client to go, oh, awesome. Now Megan can take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
Not, oh my gosh, Wayne's retiring. Where am I going? Who's doing, you know?
No, I think that's great. I think that's great wisdom in having your child have the space. Because I think what happens sometimes in other offices is that dad's the lead advisor, bring in the son, and they're together all of the time, and they begin to get on each other's nerves. Or the younger one feels like they're being overlorded or not being allowed to make their own mistakes. And I think what you're doing is setting up a perfect structure so that she can make the mistakes, she can figure it out, she's going to accelerate exponentially. And it also gives her the time and space, the process to interact with your people and develop relationships internally. So I think that's a really smart piece of wisdom out there for all of you who would like to bring your child into the business, is that maybe 3 days on, 2 days off would be a wonderful concept for you. Are you frozen, Gino? We're all good?
We had a little technical difficulties. I guess in the Northeast we're getting into the big weather here, and my power went out, so I'm back. Sorry about that.
It rain?
It's not raining. It's just going to be really hot and muggy. So I'm wondering if the grid's being challenged.
It's that solar thing, the rolling blackouts in America.
The grid's being challenged. I don't know.
Well, you know, you can only have so many windmills.
Yeah. So
make coal great again.
Hey, so Wayne, what I really think is cool about what you're doing, and you've been a client of Getting Results and with working with Ken for how long now?
20 years? I don't know. I mean, it's not that long, but man, it seems like it. 7, 8, 9 years.
Yeah.
I got introduced to you and Graham by Todd Danley.
Todd Danley.
Yeah.
So when I think about you, I think of how you've created a business by design, and I'd love for you to talk about what you tried recently, or did not try, you actually executed, was spending a month away from the office in Colorado. Could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it's a very cool, and it just shows when you're in alignment and with your plan and your vision, how you can create some pretty cool stuff in your life and business.
And your business stayed there, right? Didn't blow up, didn't leave, didn't go away. Market still was there.
Yeah, it was amazing that that it did work. Your brain doesn't allow you to think that it can work. You know, the first time I did it was a couple of 2.5 years ago. Y'all were having a meeting, and I brought the motorhome to
That's
Florida.
right.
And after the
That's
meeting,
right.
Leslie flew down, and we ended up. I was gone 28 days that trip, and Starlink really changed that opportunity to be able to have internet anywhere. This last year, we rented a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Frisco, Colorado, and went up there and spent 4 weeks and 5 weekends. And during the week, we got up to an alarm. We went to the gym. I logged on the computer and worked. And, if I was done at 10, that was great. If I was 3 o'clock, that's what it took. And Leslie and I had a great time exploring and hiking. And we took our Polaris Razor and we went up some 12 and a half, 13,000 foot peaks on our Razor. And, it's October and it's just beautiful down here. And you get up there and you get snowed on, and it was awesome. But then on the weekends, we would have clients and friends and relatives come up and spend time with us. And that's what really
Right.
made it awesome, was being able to share something we're enjoying doing with someone. I I think a month would have been too long if it had just been Leslie and I, and we'd done nothing but was there by ourselves. But I had my mom up, and Megan came with her, and then a different time Leslie's parents came. We had a couple of, I don't know, 3 clients come up. One of them flew into Denver, and we picked them up, and then they spent a couple of days and flew back. I had another one that he covers Colorado in his business. So he said, "Man, my wife can't, but I'd love to." So he would come in and he would get there about 3 in the afternoon and spend the night and hang out with us. And then he was gone early in the morning and we wouldn't see him. And then 2 days later, he would circle back and hang out and spend the night and play a game of golf and grill. And then, he fit us being there into his being in Colorado. And so that it was really cool. I had my double monitors there, had good internet, was in contact with the office every day. Client wise, they didn't really know I was gone unless I shared it with them. They got a unit investment trust maturing, or they need to take their RMD to pay their taxes on their house, whatever. You're reaching out to them because you need to do something to them or take care of them in some way. And they just assumed I was in the office unless I'd shared it with them. So they didn't care.
Well, it's a level of
Awesome.
freedom.
So it was awesome. We've already got our next planned.
Let's
Next
hear it.
July, we're going to be
What's next?
gone for. We've got a AAA activity. We've got a group of 8 or 9 couples going on an Alaskan cruise out of Seattle, and seven of them are clients, and maybe time we get home, 9 of them will be. I don't know, but one of our buddies, we've got a fifth wheel, and I got a buddy that has a fifth wheel, and we're going to drive our fifth wheels to Seattle and get on the cruise. And when we get home from the cruise, we're going to spend 2.5 weeks driving home, catch some of the big parks, go to Idaho, maybe, we hadn't got it all figured out, but we got it on the calendar. I can't do anything in the next 10 days because my calendar's full, but I can do anything next July.
Mm.
I can do anything the 3rd week of November, So we put it on the calendar, and we're building our life towards it, and designing our business and our family around that time. So
Awesome. Sounds like you're in alignment. Hence going further and faster, less fuel.
having the fun.
Even better.
So Wayne, what allows that to happen? Like, what did you have to set up, or what do you have to set up to make something like that happen? For anyone listening to this, saying, "Oh man, I'd love to do that."
I think one thing that and life just hit me pretty hard 7 or 8 years ago, and I didn't have a choice. But you think of a very successful cardiologist. What do they all have in common? They have too many patients. You go in there and you sit 3 hours in the lobby, and a great estate planning lawyer. They're not great because you can't get in front of them. They've got too many customers. And it's a whole story the way I manage that. But I managed my clients down to where I only take care of about 75 or 80 families. So when things are at their very, very worst, the sky's falling, we're having a 2008 or a pandemic, I still have excess bandwidth to take care of those clients, still look at the farm, go to the car wash, do all the. So I have driven my practice down to a unnatural level of clients that when you get successful and success hits you, you just blindly keep growing. And then you look, oh my gosh, I got 500 people I'm taking care of. Well, you can't leave on a Friday, let alone be gone a week or a month. So it's taken 7 or 8 years to design a business that allows me that flexibility. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a commitment to a quality business instead of a quantity one, and defining what the constraints of your game are.
Right. Yes.
Nice.
And setting aside the trappings of somebody else's goals for you. Yes, production is important because that's where you make the income to support your lifestyle. But the fact that I'm a certain level or a certain production, that's not in my life by design. What's in my life by design are the specific things: spouse, family, God, clients, recreation, and then if I need to balloon up my production a little bit to reach those goals, that's one thing. But I'll never be $1 million producer to be able to say I'm $1 million producer. I will be, but it will be as the design reaches that point, not because that was the goal.
Got it.
My business is to serve me. There's no work-life balance. Work is a subset to serve my life.
I love it. You're running the business. Business ain't running you.
Well said. Well said. All right, one last thing. So we have a big principle of getting results of what you give your attention to, you get more of. So I know, Wayne, you recently moved to a new office, you bought your new office building, etc. But I've had the privilege of visiting your old office, both Gino and I did. Tell us about your walls.
My Rain Man wall?
Yes, your Rain Man wall.
I've still kind of got the shakes.
Yeah, you might have to describe that a little too, just so people can understand what that means.
So to own our own property instead of renting, we downsized a little bit, and I don't quite have the spot for it. But in my old office, I had a nice private office, and then we had a meeting room that the door led into the meeting room. So I always met with my clients in the meeting room. No one was allowed into my inner sanctum or my office. Had projects spread out everywhere, account stuff spread out everywhere. But on 2 walls with 8 different colors of Sharpie permanent magic markers, I had written the stuff that was important to me. Benjamin Franklin, God created beer so he would know, whether we're loved. And I butchered that quote, but, all the things that I needed to see on a daily basis were up on that wall. And it was very neat to just pause and reflect. Maybe you got beat up on a phone call, or maybe you're just not feeling it. Man, I'd just be anywhere but in this office. And you can turn around and look at that wall and pick out a quote that just, shit, that hits me right now. Well, it does, yeah, because I wrote it on the wall, so it'd be there when I needed it.
Remember what
And
needs
not
to
only quotes, but goals, what your vision was, how things interconnect, where things you wanted to go, like all
Yeah,
the
and I had up there the different entities, the car wash and the farm and Longstreet and all the inner workings of, you know, how I looked at it in my brain, so to speak. So one didn't get ahead of the other. Having a car wash is interesting, and I think it uh, helped my relationship with my clients. But as an example, I don't need 7 of them. Now we're changing our focus, and that's our focus is Longstreet. Our focus is taking care of clients and taking care of independent advisors, protecting their independence. So, that's in the middle, and all those other things are around it. And it was important that I had that on the wall where I was reminded of it.
visual processing people. The more you see something, the greater the probability you will do something with it.
But Leslie wasn't happy. It took a gallon of Kills to get all that Sharpie off the wall.
And you made her do it. You didn't do it.
delegate.
You delegated. That's it. Smart.
She knew if it was going to get done, she was the one for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes women are smart like that.
I've got some. She has some projects that she's asked me to do that, we're still waiting, and we had a move out day with that place, So
Got it.
Well, speaking of doing hard shit, so Wayne, what we like to always talk about doing hard shit. So what do you do for hard shit?
Oh, it kind of varies. I cold plunged for a while, and there's a lot of positives to that. During COVID, Leslie and I walked 73 miles down a railroad track that had been converted to a trail. And most of that was 10-mile jumps. I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago, I got on the push-up thing. I did push-ups till I messed my shoulder up.
Been there.
I did 15 one day and 20 the next and 30 the next. And I don't know, I got up to like 250, 300. That wasn't 300, 250 push-ups, just every day. Grew it by, well, I got to where I could do 20 at a time, and then I could do 25, and then I could do 30, but
Nice.
So every day I would grow by an extra set. If I was doing 100 425s, then the next day I was doing 125, so a few weeks ago we were fixing to be gone, and I had 4 days that I was going to be in one spot, going to be in Lubbock working 4 days. And I walked 24 miles in 4 days.
Nice.
And again, 6 miles a day is not a big deal until you try to fit it in your calendar, and it's not jogging. It doesn't happen in 20 minutes, So, I had to allot some time in the morning,
especially in the
time in the evening. I just use it to, every day I'm getting better at my habits. But when I look up and I'm getting better at my bad habits instead of my good habits, that's when I throw one of those in there to bring focus. And if you bring focus to walking 24 miles in 4 days or doing 200 push-ups, it brings focus into other parts of your life, your diet and your commitment to work. I was working till 4:30, and now 2:30 comes around and it's like, oh man, I think I'm done, So maybe you have to throw something back in there to absently drag that focus around the corner, to something you put in the dark, so to speak.
Yep.
There you go. Way leads on to way.
Yep. Awesome.
All right, Gino, what else?
Well, I was just going to ask him, anything else that we didn't ask you that you thought we should ask you, or you want us to ask you?
What's a bird's nest on the ground?
That's a good thing. Bird's nest on the ground. That's good.
Now, how do you say that? You said that to me once, and I was like,
Oh,
"What the
that's,
hell does that mean?"
when something good happens, and you got a widow that comes in, and you thought she had $1 million, and come to find out she's bringing you $3 million. That's a bird nest on the ground. You don't have to climb the tree to get the egg. It's right there on the ground. It's easy.
Yep, yep.
So
And he even sent me a picture of one. I'm like, "Are those real?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's a real thing. Bird nests on the ground."
That's awesome.
another thing we did it's been 2 years. We started the Pierson Family Foundation,
Oh, cool.
and that take a step back. That is to fund the Joe Pierson Memorial Scholarship. Take a step back from that. That's my first wife. That's my kid's mother, and she was a teacher, and so we're giving scholarships every year in her memory. And we wanted a vehicle that allowed. We started it just ourselves, the direct family. Hey, we're gonna give a $2,000 scholarship to the salutatorian, whatever. And then people kind of got to hearing about it, and we found the need to have the Pierson Family Foundation, and it's a 501c3, and we use that for, at this point, memorials. If somebody, we have a client or a friend or a neighbor pass away, we do a memorial to the foundation, and we've got some people that thought the world of Joe or our family that, maybe they had always given to their church, and their little church closed in the country, and they didn't have a place to give a gift or memorialize, someone, and so it's, we created the bucket for ourselves, but what we're finding is that interest is there for other people, and it's allowing us to have a lot more impact than we thought we could, and that's pretty exciting. So
Very,
yeah.
very cool. Nice.
Awesome. Being a force for good.
Yeah. Speaking of, going back to the cooking thing, so are you the one who told me that you make how many pies
Pies.
on the holidays?
Nice. Your pie thing.
Pumpkin pies, yes.
Yeah. How many is that again? You guys don't mess around with that.
We started that when I was at Texas A&M, and you had to stay down there for the football game, and we would saw varsity's horns off and beat University of Texas and all that. Well, that game was always during Thanksgiving, so we had Thanksgiving at this friend's house, and she said, "I'll do the turkey. So and so's doing." My college roommate and I got stuck with pumpkin pies, so we went to make 4 and ended up with 8, and we threw some beer in the pickup and drove around town and found some people that were still around and gave them a pie. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, Megan is 3, and Joe's at school teaching during the day. And at that point, I was in agriculture, and we weren't real busy in November. So, Megan, let's make some pumpkin pies. And we made like 13 the first year, and got in the pickup, and we went and gave them away to neighbors and the old lady at church and all of that kind of stuff. We got done, and we'd given away 13 pies, but there was 20 people that we loved that didn't get a pie. You felt guilty about it. And so the next year it was 36, the next year it was 48, and we've done 150. Usually we try to keep it between 100 and 110, because that's all you can physically give away and deliver in one day. So we crossed 2,000 pies this last Thanksgiving. So we make them on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, and we deliver them on Wednesday. And I've got a big old ancient Wolf oven. It's a double oven. It cooks a dozen pies on each side. So we're cranking out 24 pies an hour, so we've got it down to, my recipe is a gallon of this, a gallon of that, a dozen eggs. I don't know if I could make 2, but And the other thing, Megan's 28, Tobin's 22, Olivia's 23, Maggie's 18. That's another thing that we've transferred over to them. I show up, but Megan's ordered all the ingredients and Tobin's taken off work to be there. And they tell us, okay, Dad, you're doing this. And it's not my show anymore. It's their show. And if they want to do this, they've got to have the initiative to keep this going.
Tradition.
And it's been awesome. We've made some amazing family memories. The funniest is will you tell your mama thanks? And keep in mind, Megan's 3 or 4. She's handing her this lady this pie, and the lady's, will you tell Joe thanks for this pie? And she's like, my mom didn't make this pie. Dad and I made this pie.
Thank me.
And it was an activity for us to do while Joe was cooking and preparing for the Thanksgiving.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
I can't wait for my pie.
Well, then the coaching tip here is the power of tradition. Right?
Yeah.
That tradition then repeats itself. And like for all of you out there, if there's something in your practice that you can create a tradition around, and then it's the repetition. If you refer back to one of our Anvil podcasts, you'll see the benefit of doing something again, right? Because I'm sure all of Wayne's clients get a pie, friends, prospects, centers of influence. It's a great way to touch people, to be in front of people in a totally non-threatening way, but yet you're getting FaceTime with the right kind of people.
Yeah.
And it's really rewarding to transfer that purpose to somebody else. That tradition is now more important to my kids than it is to me.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Super Coach. Anything else for Wayne before we close out our podcast today? Any last words of brilliance from you?
Any words of brilliance from me? Magic works. When you're in alignment, you go further, faster, less fuel. That's what it's about, right? It's in alignment with God, friends, family. The importance of tradition and really about loving on clients, that level of empathy that you can build a great practice just simply through empathy. And I really like, if you listen to what Wayne was saying, was that what really mattered was his design, that he's doing his business his way. He was hitting his goals, not somebody else's.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to hit somebody else's goals if you ain't paying attention, or if you're a little bit of asleep at the wheel, or a little bit confused, if you will.
Or it's deeper than that. Or you have their goals that you have to hit.
Or you have their goals that you have to hit. That's,
Yeah.
that level of inadvertence then often causes a lot of friction and suffering.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here. Help you get in alignment so you go further, faster, less fuel. That's why we have the C's as well. Gino, why don't you plug the C?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, those listening, if you haven't already, we have the Slight Edge Accelerator program, which is a 120-day program. And our next one is coming up in Fort Worth, Texas, September 23rd and 24th. If you want some structure, you want community, and you want to accelerate goals and things that you're trying to bring into your life and move forward, this is the place for you. Go to www.gettingresultsinc.com, go to the Slight Edge Accelerator page, go read about it, and then go ahead and register. Ken, the next one will be in January, and we're looking at Sarasota. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, know that January will be the next one, and go to our website and check it out.
Right.
Wayne, any last words from you before we close out?
I enjoyed the visit today, and I also enjoyed Kansas City. I was at the C in June. Is that right? And I hit all 3 of my 90-day goals. And so it's been very useful.
Awesome. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Super Coach. To our listeners, if you enjoyed today's podcast and got value, please share, follow, spread the word on the Getting Results Inc. podcast. We could be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and our website, gettingresultsinc.com. Until our next episode, be great.